And just like that, and just like we all expected, the Florida Gators are the frontrunners in the SEC.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Monday. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. Hey, I should say it's National Championship Monday for our cousins in college football. I don't know what relationship
we'll go with cousins.
We're your hosts. That's Andy Patton. I'm Isaac Schade. You're joining us at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thanks so much for making us your first listener watch. Special shout out to all the everydayers and all the great members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The college football national championship is tonight, and FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action. Make sure you're ready for it. Visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts tonight for that national championship. Andy and I are going to make picks for that, by the way, at the end of the show. Going to be a great show today. A quick note in case you missed it. We had our very first college basketball squad show live last night. We had 9 of us in there, Andy and myself, and 7 other of our great Locked On hosts. The audio of that should be in the audio feed, but you can go back and watch it on YouTube as well. It was a lot of fun. Loved the live energy. Andy hosted it and knocked it out of the park. Great stuff. All right, coming up on this Monday show, some big SEC games. Florida hands Vandy their second straight loss, takes control of the SEC. Big Blue Nation, another 17-point-plus comeback. Texas Tech figures out how to slow down AJ Dybantsa. Iowa State drops their second straight as well. Monday, 6-pack on this championship Monday. A whole bunch of great stuff. Andy, we got to start in Nashville. We said it Friday that this was a game for control of the SEC. Florida at Vandy. Gators prevail 98-94. They score the final 6 points of the game. Andy, we wondered how Vandy would respond to their first loss, and they do so by taking another. What happened in Nashville?
Yeah, it's one of the things we talked about kind of when we were looking at these, when at the time when there's 5 or 6 undefeated teams left, was the idea that sometimes it's kind of a release, like the burden of being undefeated is kind of released when you lose a game, and that you kind of can rally after that. And yet the 2 teams that have most recently lost after being undefeated, both Iowa State and Vanderbilt, take a second loss after that. Now, if you're Vandy, you lose to, the defending champs, a very, very good team. If you're Iowa State, I don't think you feel quite as good about the loss to Cincinnati that we'll get to later in the show. But it's one of those things for Vandy where the defense just hasn't been there for them the last couple of games. I mean, you give up 98 points here to Florida on your home floor. Like, I don't care if they're the defending champs. I don't care where they're ranked, in offensive efficiency. Like, you can't give up 98 points on your home court. Like, you can't. The fact that there was a close game, the fact that you almost won, giving up that many points is a testament to how good this Mark Byington offense is for the Commodores. But Florida's the front court has carried this team all year long, and now we're starting to see Todd Golden's team. I mean, I've called him the guard whisperer before, and he was hearkening back to when he was at San Francisco and had some elite mid-major backcourts. Guys, played professionally in the NBA. Jamari Bouye comes to mind. Like, he's really good with the guards, and it was surprising to see how long it has been taking Boogie Flan and Xaivian Lee to really acclimate to this Florida system, and some inconsistency in the three-point shooting hasn't really been there. And while the three-point shooting, I think the combined were 3 of 9. So it wasn't great necessarily, but they got it done. Lee had a great game here. Rueben Chinyelu had an amazing game in the front court for Florida. I'm not overwhelmingly concerned about Vandy, but the defense is going to have to tighten up if they want to stay at or near the top of this conference.
Andy, I think the Xaivian Lee thing is the biggest news for Florida in this thing. He ties with Chinyelu for the team lead, 20 points, and a very efficient 20 points, 8 of 13. You said that he and Fland combined for 3 of 9 from 3. Mm-hmm. Well, he was 3 of 7. It was Boogie that really dragged things down there, but 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. And so, like Tommy Houck's going to get his, Condon's going to get his, Chinyelu with that 20 and 10 double-double. But if Xaivian Lee can do this, if he and Fland can be anything, Florida is going to be in great shape going forward, Andy. And I think that for me was the biggest news coming out of this. And consequently now, Andy, and we can look more at this game specifically, but the Gators are now, as we predicted, the SEC favorite at FanDuel, minus 190. Vandy's second, plus 500, and then Bama, Arkansas, Kentucky in order. But you just think about the SEC as compared to last year, and it just feels like a crapshoot. So whoever's playing really well, which right now is Florida, they could be in great shape because they go from being starting 5-4. They're 8-1 since they started SEC play. 0-1. They're 4-0 since, 3 of which are against ranked teams. This one on the road. So Andy, I'm feeling much better about Florida right now. Are they going to be perfect? No, they absolutely will not be, because I don't think Lee's got it totally figured out, nor does land. But man, if they can do this with any level of consistency, Todd Golden's in great shape.
Let me tell you this. So they're 4-1 right now in conference play, and I'm looking at their upcoming schedule. Like, through 10 games, I think there's a decent chance that they're 9-1 or at least 8-2. Their
LSU,
next 5
Auburn,
games for the Gators: LSU at home, Auburn at home, at South Carolina, Bama at home, at A&M. Like, that's a winnable 5-game stretch,
especially those first three. Those first 3 in particular.
Yeah. Bama at home will be tough, but Bama's not been playing great. Maybe Bama will start to play a little bit better by the time that game rolls around. At A&M isn't a game I would think is tough, but guess what? The only other team that's 4-1 in the SEC right now is Buckyball, Texas A&M. They picked up a win over Texas, so they are 4-1 in conference play right now. So yeah, Florida's in a really, really good spot right now. I still have some concerns, like you said, about the backcourt. I also still have some concerns about the depth for this team. There's games where their bench pretty much fails to deliver entirely, and I think that's something that cannot continue to happen for this team. But Florida's in a phenomenal position. I don't think Vandy's in a bad spot. Like I said, the defense has got to tighten up. They got 2 road games coming up. One of them's at Arkansas. If your defense isn't good, you're going to give up 95 again in that one, and that's going to be 100%. Tough. Mississippi State's a little bit easier of a road game, but it's still a road game. It's never easy necessarily. And then they host Kentucky after that. So a pretty important stretch of games for Mark Byington and the Commodores coming up.
Well, I'll tell you this, because Arkansas just gave up 90 points to Georgia on Saturday in Athens. By the way, that's a big win for the Bulldogs, 90-7-6 over Arkansas. But Andy, we need to leave Athens, go a little bit northwest, I don't know, up to Knoxville, where
West,
my goodness.
sure.
To what?
West, I know that, but
Kentucky goes to Knoxville, beats number 24 Tennessee 80-78, a nice little stretch down the end to knock it out. Go watch it. Nearly Jacoby Gillespie makes a free throw, intentionally misses the second. Jalen Carey gets the rebound. He's kind of under the basket, didn't have a good look at it, but Malachi Moreno, who was the hero at LSU, this time does it with his defense, gets a game-winning block basically to end this thing. Andy, what a massive, important thing for Kentucky, who obviously is still without Jalen Lowe's done, but JQ was not in this game yet again. I'm wondering if he might be done for the season. Andy, how massive was this for the Cats?
It's really funny how similar these games were, the LSU game and the Tennessee game. I mean, you're talking 17-point lead, 18-point lead against LSU. The opposing team missing free throws down the stretch. I realized that Tennessee missed their free throw intentionally at the very end of the game, but still a missed free throw, and then Malachi Moreno saving the game. Like those, it's like all the same things happened in these 2 games in a lot of ways. But yeah, Kentucky, I mean, as I said this on the squad show, the best team in college basketball is Kentucky when they're down 15, apparently. Like they have found a way to, and they did this last year. They beat Gonzaga when they were down 18 in the second half. Like they have done this before. And I'm not sure how good you feel as a fan of Big Blue Nation of like, apparently our coach is good at coming back from huge deficits. Like you'd like to not be doing that in the first place. But Tennessee, obviously a top 25 ranked team going into that game. I suspect they will not be after this, but the Cats 3-2 in conference play at this point. The main thing I would take away positively for Kentucky in this game was the play of their guards, because obviously no Low is a huge loss for them, and the point guard play has been kind of a disaster all season long. And yet in this game, Denzel Aberdeen leads them with 22 points. He shoots 7 of 11. Colin Chandler had 12 points. He shot 4 of 6 from 3. And then shout out Jasper Johnson.
Yes,
he was really good. He was really, really good in this game. Like that's the most. Like we knew Aberdeen was good. We knew Colin Chandler could get hot from 3. Like neither of those things were shocking. It's great to see him happen at the same time, but it wasn't a shock. But Jasper Johnson coming in, shooting 5 of 6, drilling 12 points. Like that's massive for Kentucky. If he continues to play well, and if Pope continues to trust him to play a big role, I think that could be one of the biggest difference makers for Kentucky between now and the end of the season in a positive way.
especially on a day when it was, you look at Otega Owe and you're like, oh, he had 12 points. Yeah, it was a struggle of a day, very inefficient, multiple turnovers, all that. And so getting Jasper Johnson to do more and more and more like that would be really helpful for the Cats. So we'll see what's going to happen for both these teams going forward. For Tennessee, you got to feel brutal about getting a home loss here. Gillespie had 24, Ament had 17, but you just got to look ahead. I mean, you cannot dwell on it. You got to keep going, and that's the thing for both teams. Andy, one other thing we just want to mention in passing, Alabama survives on the road in Norman, Oklahoma, 83-81. And look, it's the kind of thing, I heard John Fanta say this on Saturday night, and I want to parrot what he said is basically, you make no apologies for any conference road wins, right? So if you're if you're like, why did Alabama only win by 2 at Norman? It doesn't matter. It's a W. You move on, you go home to Tuscaloosa, and you sleep well at night.
Yep. Yeah. 50-second half points, you got it done. I mean, you got to feel good about that, even if the rest of the game, the first half, maybe wasn't what you wanted for Nate Oates' team. But folks, we're going to move on to the Big 12. Texas Tech shut down AJ Dybantsa. There has not been a lot of people who have been able to do that this year, and they found a way, picked up a huge win in Lubbock, reminding everybody they are still among the top dogs in the Big 12. We'll talk about that coming up in just a second. But first, folks, the College Football Playoff Championship is here tonight. FanDuel is giving everybody even more ways to get in on the action for the playoffs, because right now, every game day, including tonight, FanDuel users will get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. And here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boosts on the bets you already feel good about. So maybe you're riding with Indiana. They're the favorite. You think they're going to control the matchup. Maybe you like Miami as the underdog. You feel an upset coming. Maybe you want to build a parlay around the players in the moments that you think will decide the game. You apply that profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly. Since we're talking national championship, let's take a look at it for basketball. Michigan, the current betting favorite at FanDuel at plus 390, followed by Arizona at plus 550. A little surprised about that, if I'm being honest. Purdue and Duke are next at plus 1200, followed by Florida, UConn, and the Houston Cougars, fresh off a dominant win over Arizona State. All three of those teams at plus 1400. Folks, FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all season long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your profit boosts today. All right, folks, I want to thank all of you who have made Locked On College Basketball your first listen or your first watch of the day. And thank you all for helping to make Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network. And if you are a true diehard college basketball fan, the Everyday or All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with us, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedoncollegebasketball.supercast.com to join the Everydayer program and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. As we talked SEC in the first segment, we're going to talk some Big 12 hoops here going forward. We're going to start with one of the ranked matchups over the weekend. Number 11 BYU at number 15 Texas Tech. And the Red Raiders pick up a massive 84-71 victory, doing what basically nobody has been able to do over the last month, which is hold AJ Dybantsa to under 20 points. He has been on an absolute heater offensively. Yes. I was going to say the last few weeks, pretty much the entire season, but it's been an overdrive as of late. And yet Texas Tech holds him to 13 points, 6 of 17 shooting. Yes, there were some other BYU players who stood out. Rob Wright dropped 28. Richie Saunders had 18, because that's a darn good basketball team, even without Dybantsa playing well. But it wasn't the big three for BYU that got the W. It was the big three for Texas Tech. And we've talked so much about the big two of JT Toppin and Christian Anderson. But Isaac, in this game, finally, they got some help from one of their other key players in this game.
That's exactly right, Andy. And it took Lawan Watts a while to be what he needed to be. And now, over the course of the past, month or so, I guess we would say, I'd have to go look to put a hard line on it, but he has really started to come more into his own. He's needed. They have desperately, Coach Grant McCaslin has desperately needed him to be that Darion Williams replacement. And it's when he's able to do this that we're able to see it. So yes, Toppin, an incredible 27 and 12. That's like waking up and walking for him. But Lawan Watts gets 20 and 8, pairing that with Chris Anderson's 22, 4, and 7 rebounds and assists, those final two numbers. And so that big three, man, so important. But yes, Andy, you said it. The Texas Tech big three outduels the BYU big three, and whatever that Three Amigos dance is, they would dance it all over BYU after this one. Massive win for Texas Tech at home. And Andy, it did not look like it was going to be that way, though, for a lot of down the stretch. BYU leads by 9 with 8:10 to go. They're up 61-52. But how about this, AP? Red Raiders close on a 32-10 run to get this 13-point win. Andy, I went back and looked through the play-by-play of it. BYU just 2 field goals in the final 9:20. They were one of their final 10. Meanwhile, Texas Tech closes, making their final 7. And dude, like sometimes you're going to have spurts like that, and that's how it goes for Texas Tech. Huge win at home.
Yeah, massive stuff from Texas Tech. I just want to tack on quickly before we get to this other Big 12 matchup for Lawan Watts. Not only 20 points and 8 boards, and not only is his impact so important offensively as kind of that third scoring option for them, he's a great defensive player. I mean, he's excellent on that end of the floor, and I think he had a huge part in Dybantsa not having the kind of game that he had. So when you can go out and hang 20 while having to play defense against one of the better scorers in the country, like that, I mean, that's what they recruited him to do. Like you said, they wanted him to be that guy for this team, and when he wasn't, when he was dealing with the foot injury and when he just wasn't playing all that well, I mean, we saw this team really kind of not have the identity that they wanted to have, and now they're starting to look like that team. It's scary news for everybody else in the Big 12. Scary for the next team we're about to talk about.
And let me say one quick thing though before as you go there. What Texas Tech does need now that he's that third scorer is they need bench help. Literally 0 points, and I know they're not very healthy. They got to get back to that, but got to get something, anything coming from the bench. And by the way, BYU falls from the ranks of Big 12 unbeatens. Now it is only Arizona, Houston atop the conference at 5-0. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, let's talk about this Iowa State loss here, because like we talked about with Vanderbilt, of like, you know, you get that monkey off your back with the first loss. Maybe you kind of turn around and start playing well again. And that did not happen for Iowa State. They lose that game to Kansas. And we kind of knew that, hey, that Kansas game felt like the only game they might lose for a pretty long stretch of time. And not only did they lose the Kansas game, they then turn around and lose on the road at Cincinnati. This is not a game would have expected to see Iowa State not win here. Granted, it feels like every year TJ Otzelberger's team is due for one just like big dud game. I think he got smoked by Kansas State at one point. Like this just happens to Otzelberger's teams every year. It doesn't seem to impact them too much going forward. So I wouldn't be alarmed yet for the Cyclones with these 2 losses, especially them being road losses. But tough stuff here. Cincinnati, big team, super physical team. Baba Miller had a massive game for them. And I think the rebounding was a huge advantage. They also had twice as many points off turnovers. That played a huge part of this. And for Iowa State, Milan Momcilovic was great. 34 points. He continues to be one of the best shot makers in college basketball. He is shooting at an insanely high clip. And it's not just wide open shots. He takes tough shots. He's incredible at what he does, but there was not nearly enough help from the supporting cast. Baba Miller did a great job on Joshua Jefferson, who had an off night offensively. And we just saw this Iowa State team kind of put up a dud here. We'll see how Otz and the crew rebounds after this.
Yeah, nice day for Day Thomas for Cincinnati. Jizzle James, who I still like, how and why is he back? I don't know.
What's going on?
I've never heard that explained well, how that all came to be. But hey, he's playing, he's scoring. We'll just leave it at that and not pass judgment. But yeah, for Baba Miller, I think people might hear you say Baba Miller had a big game and be like, yeah, but he only scored 8 points. True, fair. But the 12 rebounds are massive. Andy, you talked about his defense. And so that's a get beyond the box score moment. Watch the game and you see what an impact Baba Miller had on this game, Andy. So I love you calling him out. Great stuff. But yeah, Iowa State now has 2 Big 12 losses. We'll see if they can get back going. I think ultimately this team is going to be fine and in great shape. Taman Lipsey's not going to have slow days like this all the time. Joshua Jefferson, similar to, I forget who it was we were talking about earlier, 16 points, short, but needed 12 shots to get there, just 4 of 12. And so great job from Wes Miller's crew on him. For Cincinnati, hopefully they can find some more high points this season, but it's been tough going. Maybe this can kickstart them a little bit.
Last game in the Big 12 to talk about here. We'll just get it briefly here. Arizona stays undefeated. That's the big storyline here. And in a year where one of the big storylines, kind of through lines throughout college basketball, has been these lengthy road trips that are now more common in conference play. The Big Ten teams from the West Coast are struggling on the road, and we'll talk later about teams going out west in the ACC and how that has been a struggle if you're not named Duke, at least. But Arizona goes all the way out to Central Florida, and they find themselves, again, a Central Florida team that was ranked like last week or 2 weeks ago. So this is a good team, a tough road game for the Wildcats, and they go get themselves a 84-77 win here. Jaden Bradley was outstanding in this game, did a great job getting to the line, 10 of 11 from 11 of 13 from the stripe, had 23 points in total on a day where, again, if you told me that Arizona, again, going out to play a borderline top 25 caliber team and Koa Pete scores 4 points, I don't know that I would have thought they would have won, but this team has so much depth, 1 through 9. They find a way to get a W here, remain undefeated, along with Nebraska, who is also undefeated after a near 20-point win over Northwestern. Miami, Ohio also gets a win, not quite as easy as it has been for the Red Hawks. They win 105-102 in overtime to remain undefeated. 3 teams left. Arizona, Nebraska, and Miami, Ohio will keep you up to date on how those teams are doing going forward.
All right, Andy. Well, we got a loaded up 6-pack for you all today, including UConn's narrow win in the nation's capital, UNC's ugly road trip out west contrasted with Duke's brilliant road trip out west, and an absolute explosion from Diggy Coit helping Maryland get their first Big Ten win of the season. We'll have all that and some national championship picks to wrap the show in just a second. Right after I tell you about TurboTax. Look, y'all, tax season doesn't have to take over your life. I know it's stressful. For me, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done right in the middle of March Madness and April, all that. It's terrible. Well, the good news is that this year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. What a relief that is. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle it all, from W-2s to self-employment forms, and work to get you every deduction possible. You can upload your documents, you can go about your day, get updates right there in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives you real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28. Take taxes off your plate. Get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. It's time for the weekly 6-pack. Andy's going to start us off with a little Big East roundup.
3 Big East games to talk about from the weekend. We start with UConn going on the road to Georgetown, picking up a 2-point win, 64-62. It wasn't pretty. They shot 36%. They shot 19% from 3. They got out-rebounded, and yet they found a way to win. Ed Cooley got real deep and philosophical on us after this game. Had a quote saying, "There's a lot worse happening than Georgetown losing a basketball game." He went on at the end. He said, "We're blessed to be 9-9. We're blessed to be 1-6 in the league. It could be a lot worse, I suppose. You could be 0-7 if you're Ed Cooley and Georgetown." I get the sentiment, maybe not the timing of the commentary, but hey, it is what it is. Ed Cooley has certainly been in the news for worse things already this season, so I guess this isn't the end for him. A couple other Big East games. St. John's goes out to Villanova, picks themselves up a 7-point win over the Wildcats. Now 6-1 in league play for the Johnnies after a slow start and some kind of ugliness in non-conference play. They got themselves in a nice position, 4-game win streak after that loss to Providence. Meanwhile, Nova drops to 5-2 in league play. And then Butler goes on the road and beats Seton Hall in just a hideous game of basketball. Seton Hall massively out-rebounded Butler. They made more field goals. They had more assists. The reason they lost is that Butler made 33 free throws in this game. Just really ugly stuff. Butler's coming in with a 4-game losing streak and yet finds a way to get a win over a ranked Seton Hall team. That is Big East basketball for you, baby. That is what this conference has been all year long. Shout out the Bulldogs for getting it done.
Yeah, gross. Let's move to the Big Ten, where Michigan was on the road out west at Oregon. Look, ultimately, Michigan wins 81-71. The Ducks have now lost 4 in a row. They're 8-10 overall. Ooh, gross, yuck. They hung tough. And Andy, I think the big news and the reason we bring it up here is because they did so without not only Jackson Shelstad, but Nate Biddle. It sounds like Shelstad is now out for the year. Obviously, that is a massive blow. Biddle, though, is out for a month. Maybe he's getting hair plugs. I don't know, trying to fix that male pattern baldness in the back of his head. We'll see what happens. But man, just a tough one. Michigan survives. Been a few ugly weeks after all those blowouts. I think the Wolverines might be coming back down to earth a little bit. Andy, will keep our eyes on it. Can anybody else in the Big Ten rise up and knock off the Wolverines, as the Big Ten standings are right now? Both Purdue and Nebraska undefeated in conference, while Michigan, Illinois, and Michigan State all have one loss right behind them.
Moving on to the ACC, we had the 2 Blue Bloods in the conference going out west on their first road trips to Stanford and Cal, and it went a heck of a lot better for one team than it did for the other. Duke gets 2 wins after blowing out Stanford by 30 on Saturday. North Carolina, meanwhile, takes a loss to Cal after losing that heartbreaker to Stanford. 2 straight for the Tar Heels. Rough stuff. An easy way to look at what happened in this game is the difference defensively between these two ACC stalwarts. Stanford scored 50 total points against Duke, and yet they scored 50 points in the second half against North Carolina. And then Cal scored 56 total points against Duke and scored 54 points in the first half against North Carolina. That is not good news for Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels. We'll see if they can get back to their winning ways after they return home to the East Coast. Meanwhile, Duke continues to roll, only the second team to sweep this West Coast trip since they've been in the ACC, the other being Wake Forest, somewhat surprisingly, last year.
Andy, do I need to wave the white flag? What's happening? Am I done?
I think you might. Good? I think you might. Yeah. This is all with right. Trimble back too. That makes it far more concerning.
Oh man. Everybody here to see me just struggle and North Carolina wave a white flag. Congrats. It's happening. All right. Rest of the ACC, a couple of important things. Virginia wins on the road in Dallas at SMU 72-68. Andy, for my money, that means they're really firming up their status as number 2 in the ACC, which is interesting because I think we all thought going into the season it would be Duke, Louisville, Carolina, but right now coming in behind the Blue Devils are those Cavs. Great stuff from Coach Odom. You love to see it happening. It's good to have Virginia back. Clemson wins at Miami by 10. Miami's been playing well, so is Clemson. They're all trying to get into that double bye conversation in the ACC. 69-59 for the Tigers. Great stuff for Coach Brownell. And Louisville, been a bit of a struggle without Michael Brown Jr. Andy, they start 13-0 against Pitt. They're up 39-8. You said it. We were talking about it. To be up by 31 before you reach 40 points is something wild. They are up 53-22 at the half and win this game 100, Andy, to 59. Absolutely crazy stuff. Conwell goes for 24. Still no Michael Brown, Andy. This is starting to worry me. It's either 8 or 9 in a row now he's missed. We'll see what happens there for Michael Brown. But Cards really, really needed a win like this. Good stuff there.
Going back to the Big Ten, we're talking about Maryland beating Penn State, and you might be wondering, well, is that really that important of a game? Sure, it's Maryland's first win in Big Ten play, which is not great news for Maryland, but hey, they got the W. Shout outs to Buzz Williams and the Terps, but the main reason we're talking about this game is Diggy Coit, who every once in a while, it seems like he makes a headline for just some ridiculous gaudy stat line, and that's what happens here. He scores 43 for the Terps in this game. He shoots 9 of 15 from 3. That there are teams that would be considered a good day for them. 9 of 15 from 3 is like great. Like if you're at Gonzaga, if you make 10 threes, the whole crowd gets tacos. Like he came nearly able to do that himself. A career high for him. One of the highest, I think, tied for the highest total in Maryland's. The 9 threes ties Maryland's program record, which is crazy that that's not the record. It's crazy that is only ties the record. And also for Coit, this is his career high, but he already had 40 points earlier this year against Mount St. Mary. So like we said, this is just the thing that he does. 30 of those points came in the first half. Shout out to Diggy Coit. Shout out to Maryland for getting that first dub. Bummer for Penn State that they had to be the recipient of it, but that's kind of what happens at the bottom of this Big Ten conference.
Andy, I don't have the answer, but I think we should both guess who the other player is that hit 9 threes that he tied. I have a guess. I have no idea if it's even remotely correct, but I think it would be hilarious if I got it right.
I'm going to guess Jacoby Gillespie because that's the first person that popped in my head.
Ooh, I was going to say, you ready for this deep cut? Grievous Vasquez.
Nice. That's a great. I have no idea if you're right, but I'm going to trust that you are. We're just going to say it's true.
There's no way to know. I mean, I guess I could look it up. We'll see. Andy,
no, don't do that.
The final thing in our 6-pack is tonight is the national championship. Oh my gosh, Andy. Okay, in real time, this is everybody that's watching or listening to this already knows this. You know how the Bears have been doing crazy stuff?
Yes.
The Rams are up 17-10. 18 seconds left in the game. It's 4th and 4 from like the 5. Caleb Williams just retreated to like the 40 and just throws up a prayer. And the Bears catch it in the end zone. Dude is wide open. Oh my God. This is bonkers, Andy, in real time. I love that we're getting to respond to this. I wish this show was live. Okay, Andy, we need to pick while this is for getting to the NFC Championship game, we need to pick college football national championship predictions tonight. Indiana, basically at Miami. It is a true home game for the Canes. They are 7.5-point favorites. Chicago does hit the extra point. We might be headed to OT. Andy, who is your pick for the college football national championship game?
Yeah, I'm taking Indiana. I mean, this team has just been so unbelievably good this year. Signetti's, I mean, just the story is unbelievable. From coming from James Madison to this, Fernando Mendoza is easy to root for, and it's no disrespect to Miami or our good friend Alex Dono over there, but I'm taking Indiana. I'm taking Indiana to cover the spread too. I think they're going to win by. I don't think they're going to blow them out the way that they blew out Oregon or anything like that, but I think they're going to win this thing fairly comfortably. Give me like a 14 or like a 17-point win for Indiana to close the door on what might be one of the greatest college football seasons of all time. Yeah.
Andy, I have the same thing. Indiana. Yes. By the way, Caleb Williams was back at the 40.
It's nuts.
I have Indiana. I said this on a show earlier this week, 31-10. I don't think this is a game. I mean, like, I know Miami has been doing it and figuring it out. They got great defensive line. Like Ruben Kane is an absolute dude, just too much of the Hoosiers. It's crazy, crazy stuff. By the way, on the squad show, people were talking, somebody in the chat was saying it would be crazy because Indiana is the last undefeated college basketball team back in 1986. Is that right?
It was longer. I think it was like 77, 75, something like that.
80. I thought it was the 85, 86. Anyway, whatever the answer is, we know it is Indiana, and that's crazy stuff. Also, I don't know if this is correct, but AI overview on Google, which is never right, tells me that Mike Jones is the one.
It is Mike Jones, because I looked it up on a reputable site called Basketball Reference, and that's what they have.
Oh, that is reputable. I was just trying to do it quick, so that's crazy. I never would have pulled that. Andy, great stuff. Fun show. No big games tonight because of the national championship, but we'll get after it on Tuesday.
All right, folks, that is going to wrap it up for us today. What a fun show. What a fun weekend of college basketball. I'm excited to have more of these. And again, happy for this national championship. It's going to be fun, but also happy that means attention really turns to college basketball for the final 2 months or so before we get to Selection Sunday coming up very, very soon. As always, we want to say apologies to the Lawyer family. Let's go Wild Popes. Another wild win for them. Cheers, I guess, to the McBruins. They keep losing away from California. And until next time, peace out.